1982, the last time these two teams met, so they resume this in-state rivalry of sorts this afternoon from South Bend. Ball State starting off with the basketball. Very unique style that they have for their type of offense and defense that we play. We'll get into that as this goes along. Get you a look at the starting five for the Irish.
Yes, we have that starting five for Notre Dame, and you know they have somewhat traditional positions, even though Notre Dame plays kind of a 4-out, 1 in, and they want to run. Ball State is very interesting on the other side. They play very much a positionless style.
How does positionless work, dare you ask? Well, we'll get into that, but as we show you Ball State's starting five, it was interesting when those starters were called to start this game. Several different players ran out on the court at the same time. That's because whoever is considered a back, a crasher, or a key, those are the positions that Coach Sally has come up with for his team. Positionless basketball, that's what he calls them. Whoever's a back, all runs out for whoever is the starting back on the floor. So it's a very unique idea. And we'll see how it all plays out, Kelly. Really just a second year of trying out this system for Ball State.
And he spoke to the fact that the starting five doesn't matter that much, and maybe doesn't matter as much as players think it does. How many times have we seen a player come off the bench and be the leading scorer or make a clutch shot? So basketball is a team game. It takes everyone on the bench. I think that's what he really wants to get along to his team. It's funny, Jen, on the other side, even though Notre Dame just went to their bench, Notre Dame historically, with Niele Ivey and under Muffet McGraw, plays a shorter system and a shorter bench. So it's a different style for both of these teams.
A little miscue there between Miles and Citron, turns it over, and Allie Becky taking advantage. Ball State leading 3-0 so far in the early going. That quick sub off the bench, number 33, Lauren Ebo, transfer out of Texas, joining the Irish this year. Here is Dara Mabry, a name you should know well, and you know that result well when she shoots it. 3 for Mabry.
Dara Mabry was born to shoot threes. The entire Mabry's sister group was born to shoot threes. That's what they do. And how about Ball State on the other end? I love this quick start from the Cardinals, Jen. They do not look afraid to be playing here in Purcell Pavilion.
That's one of the things Niele Ivey was very aware of, how well this team shot the ball last year. Their numbers have not been quite as good thus far to start the season for Ball State, but the way that they play, with all players who can shoot from the perimeter, it's going to be a part of the game. And off to Citron, who's coming off a fantastic game. 24 points for Sonia Citron in the last game on Thursday. A win on the road at Northwestern for Niele Ivey's club.
And Jen, something that Niele Ivey was a bit worried about with this team, because they don't have a super deep rotation, they don't want to have that, was foul trouble. As you see a foul there committed by Ball State, but they got into foul trouble against California. They had some issues there. So Kylie Watson, the starting center for the Irish, picked up that early foul, only has one, but was sent to the bench pretty quickly. So it looks like Niele Ivey's trying to get ahead of that, brings in Lauren Ebo, and just making sure her posts don't get into significant foul trouble early in this game.
Maddie Westfeld on the free throw line, averaging 9.3 points per game. And remember, this is a player, she's a junior this year, a couple of years ago named ACC Rookie of the Year, first team all ACC, led this Irish team with 15 points per game, averaged just under 12 last season. Telma Augustdottir, the Icelandic grad student, taking the shot there for Ball State. Mabry saw an opening.
Not a player necessarily known for her defense, but she's gotten better, and that was good on-ball defense by her.
The threes are rated on both sides to start this one off. Bischoff has 7 in the game now to lead Ball State.
Jen, Ball State came into this game shooting 19% from 3. They had not shot it well. They did hit 8 against Butler. They did shoot the ball 30 times from 3. Coach Ivey told us, though, it's just a matter of time before they start hitting. And, of course, that time seems to be now.
Citron fouled as she drives to the basket, but yeah, a good start shooting the basketball on the road for Ball State.
No hesitation at all for Bischoff. She was quite a few steps off the three-point line, caught it quickly in transition. And Jen, I've said this on games with you many, many times. My favorite time to shoot a three is in transition. There's no better time to get an open look from three than in transition, and Ball State knows that.
Yeah, one thing that you will most likely notice with this Ball State team is they are not afraid to take a shot early in the shot clock, right? Especially if they find themselves going downhill a bit in transition.
And they prefer threes or layups. Coach Salih told us he is, and this is a direct quote from him, waist deep in analytics, which I love. And he prefers threes and layups, which is kind of the route the NBA has taken. Mid-range shots are just not worth it from an analytics perspective because they're worth as much as layups. So look for Ball State to take a lot of threes and layups in this game.
An attempt at the layup here, but difficult task with 3 Notre Dame players there. Still a foul is called against the Irish. Like that goes against the freshman KK Bransford, highly touted freshman, McDonald's All-American, joining the Irish this year. Hope you get to know Coach Salih just a little bit. His 11th season in charge of Ball State, but he's been at it for a while, 3 decades coaching at some level. And took this team, as I mentioned earlier, to the championship game in the MAC last year. They were rewarded with a pick of 2nd in the preseason poll in their conference. Mabry lines up another, down it goes.
And Jen, that's the other best time to shoot a 3-ball is on that reverse. Get the ball into the post, reverse it to the opposite side of the floor. The defense is in help side. They have to rotate back. You're going to get an open look. And of course, she's a Mabry, so she knocks it down.
The block from Miles. That's not even one of the stats we typically show for Olivia Miles. You talk points, assists, steals. Yeah, let's give her some blocks too.
She does everything. I'm not exaggerating. She literally does everything. Blocks that with the left hand too. She's a right-handed player. And Olivia Miles has great size for a point guard. She's 5'10". That's also why she's a great rebounder as well and can block some shots.
Bischoff going for the basketball. Kiefer, excuse me, got her hand to it, but it goes back to Mabry. Both teams going for the basketball. Looks like it'll stay with Notre Dame.
There's that play from Miles, just showing that extra effort. She is, some would call her a flashy player at times because she makes passes that no one else can make, and she likes that one-handed finger roll, but she also does that, where she's hustling after a loose ball just to give her team another possession.
Saw Kylie Watson checking back into the game, transfer from Oregon, as Miles is fouled, and for good measure, just finishes it off anyway. Foul came before that shot attempt, though.
It's not the NBA, so there's no continuation. You're not going to get points for that after being fouled on the floor, which could start a whole other debate if we should have that rule or not. But even when she gets fouled, the play afterwards that doesn't count looked pretty spectacular from Olivia Miles.
Miles served notice last year. What a special player she is to watch for Notre Dame. Just really bursting onto the scene. First team All-ACC, AP honorable mention All-American, 2nd in the country in assists per game on the year. And has made a nice backcourt duo there with Dara Mabry, getting her team fired up defensive end.
Love that fire from Dara Mabry. All the Mabrys play with fire. I would argue that Dara Mabry is perhaps the fieriest, brings that passion. I think some of that is because she's the smallest of the sisters and she's always had to bring that on the floor, but you can tell she's one of the leaders of this Notre Dame team.
One of the other leaders, Olivia Miles, her first points of the game, draining the 3, Notre Dame a 1-point lead. Ball State swinging it around. Kiefer. Ball rebounded by Watson. And Miles says, let's go. You can see that tempo is there for Notre Dame. That's one of the strengths of this team. Niele Ivey wants this team to be able to push.
They want to go fast. They want to make you play fast when you're not comfortable doing that. And they're so good in transition because they have shooters everywhere, and every player on the floor can score. So they want to get out, and they want to run.
Here is Mabry, has it blocked out of bounds by Kiefer, the sophomore out of Alexandria, Kentucky for Ball State.
Well, it's Olivia Miles, y'all. She is a superstar. She just put Ball State on skates. Nothing but net. Olivia Miles off to a great start.
So we want to tell you a little bit more about this very unique system that Ball State has. Kelly Graham, take us to school a bit, if you will, and what Coach Sally is working with here.
Well, Coach Sally took me to school in our Zoom call with him because I've never heard of this system. He made it up himself. So these are the three quote-unquote positions that Ball State has. Backs, get back on defense after an opponent's shot attempt. Crashers always crash the glass. And the keys, they also crash, but they inbound the ball after a made basket, and then they are kind of one of the people that facilitates the offense at the top of the key. These positions are truly dictated by transition defense. Beyond that, there are no positions. But when he was looking at this system, they play a 5-out, as you've probably already noticed. He realized that the one distinction players had to have was transition defense, and more specifically when it pertains to rebounding, you have to know which players are getting back on defense and which are crashing. So that's really the only difference between these players and these quote-unquote positions at Ball State.
Yeah, an important distinction, I thought, that made a lot of sense to us when we figured out that it really has nothing to do with offense. So if you're trying to figure out, wait, guard, forward, it doesn't have anything to do with offense. Good steal there. As Ball State could take the lead on the breakout and do. A couple of good, quick possessions there off the media timeout.
Notre Dame being a tad careless with the basketball, but then they come back down and do that. You have to let Olivia Miles be Olivia Miles. You have to let her make that pass where she just slings it across the floor and does something no one else can do. You'll take 3 or 4 turnovers from her a game because she does other things that are just incredible.
Shot from the corner, won't go for any Roush. Here is Miles. Oh, a little extra spice for that too.
My goodness, Olivia Miles. She doesn't do anything in a boring way. You know what I mean, Jen? Even that mid-range jumper goes through the legs, step back. It's spectacular, but it's just a mid-range jumper.
Meanwhile, a great effort here from Sydney Bolden, freshman off the bench for Ball State, has their last 6 points. Keeping them in this. Just a 2-point game for 9th-ranked Notre Dame as Ebo is fouled on that play. Our next All Access, the ACC Live, premieres tonight. Features Virginia women's soccer, Louisville volleyball, and Syracuse men's soccer. You'll get unprecedented access into the lives of the student athletes, coaches, staff, parents, and fans at 7 p.m. Eastern right here on ACCN and the ESPN app.
Notre Dame misses 2 free throws there. Yep, and so Ball State continues to feel like they're squarely in this game, and they definitely are. One of the big things, Jen, when you come into a game and you are the David in many respects, is you have to get off to a quick start. Otherwise, you're pretty much done, and Ball State's done a really good job of that.
I mentioned earlier, this is the first time in 40 years that these two programs have met. Their last meeting coming in the 1981-82 season. Notre Dame won that 60-57, and this is just their 4th meeting all-time overall. And Coach Sully has told us it's been tough sometimes for his team to schedule some of the other big programs in state. So he was very appreciative of this home-and-home series that he was able to get set up in the LI via Notre Dame. Open look as Bischoff turns around, too strong. Miles taps it to herself, starting to get in the flow. There's a little Miles magic for Citron.
You just can't help but smile when you watch her play. It's so much fun to watch her play. I'm over here laughing because she doesn't even grab the rebound. She tips it to herself, which, again, coaches wouldn't normally want someone to do that, but it's Olivia Miles. She's just special, and she has that vision about her in the open floor.
Here she goes again. We got a whistle on the floor that'll halt things.
Jen, I've made this comparison before, and I'm sure people think I'm exaggerating, but I see a lot of Magic Johnson in Olivia Miles. The way that she leads the break, high stepping a little bit. She's a bigger guard. I know Magic Johnson was massive, but Olivia Miles at 5'10" is pretty big for a point guard, and she's so creative. It almost feels a little Showtime-esque when she's running the break and finding all of these weapons around her. And of course, she can score the rock. So I see some magic. The Miles magic, I see that comparison. Some people might say, Kelly, you're crazy, but I've been saying it from day one.
I support that, Kelly. I'll buy into that. Miles the Magician. Didn't she tell us last year she picked up that nickname, and I latched right onto it? She has the magic, no doubt. By the way, there was a foul on Roush for Ball State, which is what put Marshall on the free throw line. Good defensive effort there from Mabry. And then a foul at the end as Ball State trying to get to the basket.
Notre Dame utilizing a lot of two posts look in this game. They start every game with a 4-out. Maddie Westbeld is a hybrid 4. She can shoot the 3. She can do everything. She can guard down low, but I would consider that a 4-out system. Right now, they have Marshall and Watson in the game, and Neil Ivey told us against this Ball State team, who's a little undersized, they really want to establish their post presence, so they're playing a lot more two posts together.
Wide open look on the inside for Marshall. Easy picking.
That pass from Olivia Miles with her left hand to Bransford was crazy. The level of difficulty on that pass is so high. And with that one pass, a pass that most players can't make, she broke the press. Then you had a 3-on-1 situation. You're going to score. Just a great pass from Miles.
A little walk will take away what would have been the 4th triple of this first quarter for Darren Mabry.
Mabry looking at the ref saying, do you know how long I've been doing this? I didn't walk there. She may have taken a step into the shot, but that can be a little nitpicky from the officials, but they have to call it. If they see a travel, they must call it.
Irish have made each of their last 6 shots. Tough look. The follow-up no good. My Richard.
The Irish posts are doing a good job of staying in front of some of these smaller players. Kylie Watson is guarding Augustdottir, who's only 6 foot tall and attacked from the three-point line. Watson stayed in front of her, forced her to pass the ball. Good on-ball defense from these posts.
Got a 3-second difference, game clock, shot clock for the Irish that they're working with. Jenna Brown in at the point, and that is a foul offensively called against Kylie Watson, so that'll be her 2nd.
This is just a great play on the Ball State side. Obtained that legal guarding position. She ran right into her. That's Clefane who drew the charge. And then you get that one more possession and prevent a basket.
Cardinals take the last shot, but it was a heave from distance for Augustdottir, and so Darren Mabry had to settle with just the 3 triples in quarter number 1, the last one taken away by a travel. But just continuing on that Mabry legacy. We know you've heard about it, but we're going to tell you a little more about it and why Dara is the new queen when we come back. About to start quarter 2 here from Notre Dame, but first, yeah, Kelly, I think you need to take this one, talking about the Mabry sisters and what they've done from beyond the 3-point arc.
I asked Neil Ivey, has a family or a group of sisters ever meant more to a program in women's college basketball history? And she said, I don't think so. I think the Mabrys win that crown. 3 sisters have come through the Notre Dame program. They have all been spectacular players, and they've made 781, that's what it is. 781 threes combined, which is over 2,300 points scored just on their three-point makes. Michaela Mabry, the oldest sister, is now on staff as well for Notre Dame.
3 straight offensive rebounds on that possession for Notre Dame to finally get the points from Jenna Brown. Stanford transfer. And rebounding has been a stark advantage for the Irish so far. +7 in the first quarter alone. And great effort there from Bransford just to stay with the ball, try to get it back. Draws the foul.
Good job by Bransford, not giving up on the play. She misses this tough layup, but stays in the play. And it was really Maddie Westfeld who was able to get a hand on that ball and knock it out for Bransford to get another look. Jen, Bransford is the only freshman on this Notre Dame roster. That's got to be an interesting spot to be in, kind of be by yourself in that regard. But she also has a lot of sophomores as well with Citron and Miles, so I'm sure they can help take her under their wing.
And she's going to be a fun player to watch as well. Nice drive to the basket there as the Cardinals make their way into the paint. Bischoff leading the team in scoring in this game so far, 9 points. Ebo working the offensive glass, just can't get it to go. And then she is eventually fouled. She'll be frustrated, no doubt, that she's forcing herself to have to grab a couple extra offensive rebounds, but she's doing the work.
Padding the stats a little bit, grabbing these offensive rebounds, but a good extra effort from Ebo, wishing, as you can see on her face, that she had made one of those layups. This is the concern for Ball State. When you look at their roster and they play that 5-out system, rebounding is always a little bit of an issue when you play a 5-out. It can be difficult, and that's why Neil Ivey wanted to exploit these post players and get the ball inside to them. And Notre Dame's doing a really good job of that so far.
Ebo just 1 for 4 from the free throw line in the game. She was shooting it at nearly 92%, had missed just 1 free throw coming into the game today.
She had her breakout game, Jen, against Northwestern. She had 19 points, 7 rebounds. She was 8 for 9 from the field. That was a great sign for Notre Dame, who's trying to replace Maya Dotson almost by committee with Watson and Ebo and Marshall. And so to have Ebo be able to come off the bench and give you that is a great sign for Notre Dame's depth moving forward.
It'll stay with Ball State here. And a Clefane, redshirt senior, hands it off. Bischoff has had the hot hand, not this time.
Notre Dame has been very aggressive defensively, which is what they do. They're aggressive on the ball. They get up in passing lanes, forcing Ball State further away from the basket and really forcing them to play too much outside of the perimeter.
Mabry left open in the corner. That's trouble.
You could say that was transition. Ball State's defense was a little bit out of whack, and if you're going to help off, you should not help off number 1. I'll just say that.
4 threes in the game for Dara Mabry.
Her personal
clarify, by the way.
7.
Okay, I'm
going to put that out there. I see that look in her eye, Jen, and that's also the Notre Dame record. So, see that look in her eye. Just going to put it out there.
Ebo with the block on the defensive end. Here is Mabry looking for 5. Oh my, Dara Mabry feeling it early in South Bend today.
She's made 5. We've got a lot of basketball left. Notre Dame record is 7. What else do you need to know? Come back after this break, people. Dara Mabry has been on fire in this first half. She's already made 5 threes. We've got 7 minutes and 46 seconds left in the second quarter. The way the way she's run in transition overall, she's been headhunting. She's been looking to shoot the rock. She's been looking to find her spots. And this play specifically, the last 3 before we went to break, she was sprinting the floor. And I promise you, she was saying, ball, 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 or I'm here on your left, because she looked like she had that look in her eye and she wanted to shoot it, and she's feeling it. So she's 5 for 7. Her record is 7 made threes, so let's keep an eye on that.
I mean, remember how dangerous she was, really all of last season, of course, but in the NCAA tournament in particular, she was so big. Irish made their way to the Sweet 16. She had that career high 7. She's hit it a couple times. Did have it against Oklahoma in the NCAA tournament.
She was fantastic in that Oklahoma game. And I think that OU game, which sent them to the Sweet 16, gave them just a different level of confidence. Coach Ivey talked about that. Making the Sweet 16 and playing NC State very tightly in the Sweet 16 game, almost advancing to the Elite 8, gave them that confidence and that momentum going into this season.
Travel from Marshall and give it back to Ball State. There's been a couple of lengthy Notre Dame runs, whereas Ball State was keeping it close in the first quarter. The Irish have used a couple runs to pull away, currently on a 7-0 run. Cardinals trying to break into that and can't. You might think you have a look at the paint, and then it gets swatted away as Marshall goes down hard, fouled on her way into the basket. Actually, no foul, Kelly.
Oh, they didn't call one there.
No, no foul called.
I can see that. Jen, I want to correct myself here. There was a little bit of a difference in different places, but the Notre Dame school record for threes is 8, made by Sheila McMillan versus St. John's back in 1998. The Mabry record, which both Marina and Dara have done, is 7. Just so we know, so we can keep an eye on it, perhaps if anything happens.
Just on a little watch.
Yeah, just
I like it. Okay. Well, August Daughter gets some much needed points for Ball State on that last drive. Citron open. Bransford back in the game, fighting for the rebound. KK Bransford out of Cincinnati, Ohio, went to Mount Notre Dame High School. And now a lot of Notre Dame fans really excited to see what she can do as the only freshman. That's just good. Following up your teammate there, a lot of bodies went down. And then Ball State able to take advantage. Kiefer coming in behind the play, getting the points. Offensive foul against the Irish. A momentum building here for the Cardinals.
Few turnovers there, and Ball State taking advantage. What we haven't seen from the Cardinals is a lot from Allie Becky, who we previewed in our open. She is their all-MAC player. She is a point guard who tends to be a bit pass first, but led them in scoring against Butler. Let's see if Ball State can get her going a little more.
Now this team is not afraid to use a lot of different players, and Becky not even on the floor at the moment. She's been quiet when she has been out there, to your point.
And I think part of that, Coach Salih told us he wants her to be more aggressive, and she hasn't been as aggressive so far. So perhaps he's trying to tell her he needs that by putting her on the bench.
Know who's aggressive, Cal? I'm going to go with
Mabry.
Yeah,
All the Mabrys.
A little backdoor cut. Cover a little too close, trying to take away that 3. She shows she can add some versatility. Uh-oh, watch out. Here comes Miles on the break, 2 in front of her. Defense does its job.
That was a good job by Bischoff. If you notice, she didn't leave Mabry. She stayed with her no matter where she was in transition. At this point, forget help side, especially in transition. You need to find Dara Mabry beyond the three-point line.
Bransford pulls up and makes it. Couple of really quick trips down the floor if you're Ball State. Miles weaving her way through. It is knocked out of bounds off of the Cardinals, so it'll stay with the Irish under the basket.
And Jim, we know Ball State doesn't mind quick shots. They like to shoot the ball quickly in the shot clock if it's a good shot. But if you're not making those, it can be a real issue against Notre Dame because of how fast they play. They can take that miss and go turn it into points in just a second. Then you have a 4 or 5 point swing before you even blink.
Mabry couldn't get the friendly roll. Drive on this end of the floor. Sydney Schaefer has been good for the Cardinals when she's been on the floor. Sydney Bolden driving in this time, had 6 quick points at the start of the quarter. Offensive foul called.
And here's Sonia Citron, who established that legal guarding position before Bolden left the ground. That is the key when you're drawing a charge. You have to be there in position, 2 feet planted, before the opponent leaves the floor. And if you are, you can get that charge call. So that was a great job by Sonia Citron.
Cardinals trying to make something of the empty possession on the other end for Notre Dame. That shot missing everything. Mabry stepping in. It's been over 2.5 minutes without a basket for Ball State.
Ball State is getting decent looks. We saw that open 3 they had a couple possessions ago, just not able to convert. They're only shooting 29% from the floor. And to beat Notre Dame, I know most coaches would say it starts on the defensive end. I think for me it starts on the offensive end. You have to be able to challenge them by scoring because you know they're going to score. They're averaging 90 points per game. They're going to make this game fast. They're going to put up at least 80 most likely in a game unless they're really struggling. And so to challenge Notre Dame, you have to score too. Otherwise, it's very tough to stay in a game with the Fighting Irish.
Bransford on the free throw line. First one is good. Let me give you our Monday college basketball doubleheader. Florida State hosting Mercer at the Tucker Center in Tallahassee. That's at 6:30 Eastern. And then number 7 Duke hosting Bellarmine at Cameron Indoor, both right here on ACCN and the ESPN app. Both free throws
Becky
good
back
by
in
Bransford.
the game here, Jen.
Well, it's about time.
Becky, yeah, she's back. I think she's got to be aggressive, look for her own shot.
There you go.
Right on cue.
I think we know what the message was when she went to check into the scorer's table, right?
And I really appreciate a pass-first player. I think in some ways those players are a dying breed in college basketball, but sometimes what your team needs, especially for this Ball State team, they need her to score. Being pass first at times can be selfish because they need her to put the ball in the basket. So she's learning that. She's a young player and a super talented player at that.
Ball State foul committed by Bolden. That is her third, excuse me. And it puts Mabry on the free throw line.
If I'm Ball State, I would not want to put Mabry at the free throw line and let her see that ball go through the net again because she's missed her last 2 shots One was an in and out, one was that mid-range she left short. I'm not sure you want to let her get to that line and knock down a couple.
19 in the game now for Mabry to lead all scorers. Spin and the foul. That's going to put Alex Richard on the free throw line for Ball State. Ebo committing the foul. And anything consider for Ball State coming in here, obviously knowing this was going to be a tough matchup, going on the road, Notre Dame ranked number 9. And I thought it was really poignant what Coach Selly told us, that this game, win or lose, is not going to have any impact on whether his team then goes on to win their conference championship. What could have an impact, however, is the message he sends his team in terms of how to prepare for this. So he had a choice, Kelly. They could have come in and just tried to sit back, take a lot of time off the clock, but no, they said they wanted to come in here and play their game. And yeah, they're paying the price for it a little bit, but he was not ready to take that confidence away from his team for them to think he didn't believe in them.
Right, and I respect it. And it is an issue that a lot of coaches face, a lot of mid-major coaches, when you're going up against a team like this, because when you watch film on Notre Dame, the conventional wisdom would say, okay, try to slow it down, take 30 seconds off the shot clock every time, and keep them out of transition. Well, Ball State honestly plays a similar style to Notre Dame. So to tell your team, we're not going to do us, can be a tough message to send to your squad. So I respect the approach that Coach Salih has taken into this game.
And at this point, you just start doing that breakdown of possession by possession, getting what you want out of it, trying to anyway, nothing coming easy. Good spin, but the block from Marshall. Oh, Miles, come on!
Her 6th assist of this first half for Olivia Miles. Just doing what she does in transition, what she does best.
Big smile on the face of Jenna Brown after she was the recipient of that pass from Miles. It is just nonstop entertainment, actually, when you get an opportunity to watch Olivia Miles on the basketball court.
That's why I call her must-watch TV. She is very unique in the way she plays. You haven't seen, at least in my estimation, a women's player that plays exactly like she does. It's just different with her size and the way she can rebound and block shots, but also her speed, getting out in transition. The vision is very unique. And when she attacks like that, Jen, and she elevates, if you're a defender, you truly don't know if she's going to score or pass it. Because we've seen her earlier in the year make a pass behind her back, or make a pass where she's looking one way and passes it completely the other way. It's so hard to defend because you really don't know what she's going to do when she takes the air in the paint.
Well, it was a single-digit deficit for Ball State after the first quarter. This quarter, though, has been all Irish. 25-9, Notre Dame outscoring Ball State in quarter number 2. Now with an opportunity to finish the quarter with the basketball. Try to get one last shot off. Citron spinning and making. Quite a first half for the 9th-ranked team in the nation, and not without a few Olivia Miles moments of magic.
That's what you come to expect when you watch Notre Dame. 9 points, 6 assists, 5 rebounds in the first half. Notre Dame with a 50-burger.
Feel like you've had a really dominant half, and then if you're Ball State, what are they looking to do in this second half, Kelly?
Well, like I said, to beat Notre Dame, you have to score. And I think they have to shoot the ball better, be a little smarter with their shot selection. They love threes, they love layups. When you're down by this much, Jen, and you're going into a second half, the mid-range is really not worth it, and they already don't think so when you look at their analytics. So I'm looking to get open threes. I think in making threes is the way you get back in this game.
It's one of the things that Ball State was known for last season. Haven't been able to hit as high a clip from outside to start off this season as a team. They were just 2 for 11 from 3 in the first half. So let's see if they can better that number a little bit, getting the ball back here.
The other thing I want to see, Jen, and this was something coming into this game as well, Maddie Westfeld the ACC Rookie of the Year back in 2021, and a great player, has started off quietly for Notre Dame on the season and in this game. Can Notre Dame find a way, especially when they're leading by a big margin, to get Westbeld back in the fold and get her going with some good looks in this second half?
Here is Allie Becky, the player Ball State would really like to get going. Sophomore had 4 points in the first half. Cardinals out on the break. Out of bounds, it'll stay here. Same starting 5 out on the floor for Notre Dame. Mabry, Miles, Citron, Westbeld, and Watson. Same starters for Ball State as well on the floor. We told you about Allie Becky, August Daughter, Marie Kiefer, Madeline Bischoff, their leading scorer, and Anna Clefane. Drive to the basket, no good. An important offensive rebound, though, Cal, to give the Cardinals another possession, and then Miles committing the foul. That's her second.
The other thing Ball State needs to look for are those mismatches. And we talked about this in the first half. Notre Dame is having to guard some of their perimeter players with a post player. Allie Becky took Westbeld to the rim. She missed the layup, but that's a good example where you have some foot speed. You have that first step on Westbeld or Watson or Marshall or Ebo. And so if you are one of those players for Ball State and you get a post player one-on-one, you've got to attack and try to exploit that.
Looking pretty automatic there from the free throw line. So Bischoff now with a new career high, 13 points. Will Mabry get any more open looks? There's an open one as Westbeld makes her way inside.
And that's what I'm talking about. Get Westbeld going. You are going to need Maddie Westbeld throughout this season, scoring the ball well at the 4 spot. And this is the kind of situation where Notre Dame could get her some confidence.
Block from Miles. You can hear that one in the back of the stadium. And now, of course, getting the dime on the other end, feeding Westbeld. Doing it all, Olivia Miles.
She is so special. That block was a swat. You could hear that block, Jen. And then they find her in transition. She makes a great pass to Westbeld. Hyped up, looking at the crowd. She plays with so much energy and passion. It's just so much fun to watch.
Good defensive stop there. It is Mabry. Looking for the dish, finds it for Citron, and the Irish looking like a well-oiled machine these last few plays on both ends of the floor. Notre Dame up big at home, quarter number 3. .6-0 run to start the half for Notre Dame, and to best appreciate the last defensive play for Olivia Miles, I think you just need to listen in.
Swat. What a block by Olivia Miles, and then get the ball up to her, find her. She was looking left, she was looking at Mabry, but passed it to Westbeld. And then this play, Jen, I gotta be honest, Darren Mabry is a better person than me. If I'd hit 5 threes, I would have pulled up right there. But she passed it and found her teammate. She is definitely more unselfish than me. I would have absolutely pulled that. So credit to her.
I appreciate your honesty, Kelly Gramlich. Notre Dame has some options. You mentioned it earlier, Maya Dodson graduating, and she was such a big presence in so many ways, literally, figuratively, inside for the Irish. And so now kind of figuring out how they fill that void. A couple of players who can help do that. And you see there is some good size on this Irish team. Kylie Watson, one of those players, Lauren Ebo, another. Citron did well to keep it in and feed it inside to Ebo.
There you go. And that's what I like about this Notre Dame team. Last year, they were so reliant on Dodson. And if she got in foul trouble, they had real issues. And she was electric. I mean, she was great. But it's tough when you rely on just one post player. They currently have 3 5 players that they feel good about in Watson, Ebo, and Marshall. That is different from last year's Notre Dame team. So if Watson starts and gets in foul trouble, they can go to Ebo and there's not much drop off. That is going to help them, I think, try to make a deep run in the ACC tournament and the NCAA tournament.
Marie Kiefer pulling down the rebound, and then it gets tied up. She's been the best on the glass for Ball State, 6'2" sophomore. To Brossart High School in Alexandria, Kentucky.
Jen, I think we can say this. This is not a baseball broadcast where we're talking about a perfect game or something, but you basically come into every Notre Dame game on triple-double watch for Olivia Miles. She's hit one of those targets. She's now in double figures in points with 11. She's got 8 assists and 5 rebounds. So we're definitely watching that triple-double right now.
I think you're right, though. I think that's an ever-present watch when Olivia Miles takes the floor. She had 2 of them last season, including one in the NCAA tournament. Became the first freshman ever, male or female, with the triple-double in the NCAA tournament. Did that against UMass in the second round. And I am oddly superstitious when it comes to the baseball perfect game, so I'm with you. I will not do it. Softball either. But I'm okay with this one. I think we need to let the people know.
I agree. And with all the stats and accolades that we've seen for Olivia Miles, to me the most impressive one is the triple-double in the NCAA tournament, first ever by a freshman, male or female. That is incredible that no freshman has ever done that. When you think of all the spectacular one-and-dones that have come through the men's game, and none of those guys have been able to do it, and then just all the great players on the women's side as well. That is an unreal stat from Olivia Miles.
Ebo battling for position down low, gets whistled for the offensive foul. That'll be her 3rd personal. Well, I'm going to have to go to something else on your wish list, I think, Kelly. As we talked about, the first thing I asked you coming on the air, what do you want from Notre Dame today? You said more Olivia Miles. Okay, well, I think we've gotten a pretty good serving so far. What else does the Irish need to feel good about this one? Obviously, they want to finish it out strong, and that's a big 3, something that Ball State needs a bit more of.
I think not losing focus is big for Notre Dame. I know you have a big lead here, but at times last year Notre Dame had big leads and would let another team back in. So I want to see Notre Dame continue to keep their foot on the gas pedal and continue to score and play well defensively in this game.
We will take a quick break from South Bend. Notre Dame up big.
Nice blanket.
Do you have a favorite? I mean, it's a natural follow-up. We've got Thanksgiving on the horizon. What's your #1 side?
Well, I'm not sure there's a big argument here, in my opinion. I think mac and cheese is great. I think mac and cheese is a Thanksgiving side, but I think I can have mac and cheese any day of the year, and it's no big deal, even though it's a great dish. So for me, it's stuffing, dressing, whatever you call it. Every time I have stuffing at Thanksgiving dinner, I think, why don't I make this every week? Because it is so good. And it's the one thing that you really don't eat any other time of year. Put a little gravy on there. It's just perfect. Shout out to my grandmother. My grandma makes the best stuffing in the world. But that's what I go with, Jen, because of the unique Thanksgivingness of the side dish.
I can appreciate that. I appreciate the unique nature of the stuffing dressing.
What is yours? Now I have to know.
Okay, well, so my favorite is definitely a sweet potato casserole, but I am going to tell you what I probably have scaring my children in the refrigerator at this moment that I bought earlier today, and it's going to make me sound real Southern. Okay, it's the 2 ham hocks that are in my refrigerator waiting to be put in the crock pot with the collard greens.
Oh, I knew you were making some greens. That's what I said at the break. I said, are you making collard greens, Jen?
Wow. You did call it. You did.
You're from New York, but you live in Atlanta now, and you are embracing it. Wow, that's amazing, Jen. That's great. Happy for you.
Northern by birth, Southern by choice.
Yes. Especially after you see 6 feet of snow up in Buffalo.
There's a lot of
snow. And the snow on Notre Dame's campus, yes.
Doesn't stop the fans from coming out and supporting this team, though. It's something I know you know firsthand. Hold on, Mabry. Nope, doesn't quite have the hot hand she had in the first half.
I do know this firsthand, Jen. When I was playing for Clemson, we were actually Notre Dame's first ACC game ever, and we played at Purcell Pavilion. It was a blizzard. This was early January, and it was a state of emergency. Only emergency vehicles on the road. We get there. Notre Dame's they're probably ranked 3rd in the country. Kayla McBride, those teams, Jewel Lloyd, and there were about 6,000 or 7,000 people there in a state of emergency. I was just blown away by the fan support at Notre Dame.
Finally, some points in transition. Those have been hard to come by for Ball State in this game today. But if you're a fan of the Cardinals, get ready, because that's a little more of what this team can try to do and would like to do as this season goes on.
And Ball State will be a team to keep an eye on in the MAC, that's for sure. You have Toledo in that league, who's very good. Buffalo has also been great in that league, but Felicia Leggett-Jack took the Syracuse job and took most of Buffalo's good players with her to Syracuse. So keep an eye on Ball State in the league. And Coach Salee is still looking for his first NCAA tournament. He's made 7 NITs at Ball State, still looking for that elusive NCAA tournament, which we know means so much to every program, but especially these mid-major programs, because you've got to win your league. You've got to get it done in the tournament and in pressure time to get to the big dance.
And the Cardinals came so close last season. Shot clock at 5 here as Becky spins, making it to the championship game of the MAC. They upset the regular season champs Toledo in the semifinals. Bransford fouled on her putback attempt there.
And Jim, we should update from halftime. We were talking about the South Carolina-Stanford game. South Carolina prevails. They win 76-71 in overtime out in Palo Alto. So heck of a win for the Gamecocks. They came back from behind. They came back from behind last year when they hosted Stanford down in Colonial Life Arena. What a great game between 1 and 2. I feel like those two might play again at some point, perhaps in the big dance.
You think? I do think that's a pretty good prediction.
I hope so, as a basketball fan.
Yes, and what a great game to have on, national network television. That game was on ABC, and we're going to have women's basketball featured on ABC the next few weeks coming up, so be sure to keep an eye on that. More great matchups, but those two programs, fun to see them go head-to-head. And as you mentioned, yeah, South Carolina, biggest comeback in Gamecock program history. They were down 18 last year, and Columbia came back to win. It's called a travel. Seems a bit harsh on Citron as she tried to bring the ball down in traffic. She remains unruffled.
Citron has been a little quiet in this game, 9 points, 8 rebounds, so looking at a double-double. She was excellent against Northwestern. I thought that was similar to Ebo, her breakout game of the season, where she had 24 points and 10 rebounds. She was just great. And that shows the depth of this Notre Dame team. You know that Miles is the head of the snake, but you really don't know who else can beat you on a given night, because everybody who takes the floor for them is capable of scoring in double figures.
Augustdottir hits her second triple. Augustdottir, 1,000-point scorer. She's in her 5th year at Ball State. Started every game of her career. Ebo going to work on the inside on the other end. Another triple goes down, so Ball State gaining a little momentum. Let's roll, as they like to say before each game. And Notre Dame has just outscored the Cardinals by 3 points in this quarter.
Ball State's been able to get going from 3. That's a big part of what they do. They're 5 for 15 in this game, so much better than how they've shot it so far in this season. And they can build off of that going into the 4th quarter.
Marshall. Ebo. The putback from Citron. And there was a whistle on the floor.
Second foul picked up by number 20, Alex Richard on the Cardinals. Second, team's 3rd of the quarter.
Good awareness by Ebo, knowing that the clock was running down. She got that offensive rebound. probably didn't think she had time to look up and see how much time was left, so just went right back up with it and drew the foul.
6 points in the quarter for Ebo. I think it's 7. And as you mentioned, coming off a great game, 19 points in a win where Notre Dame absolutely put the hurt on Northwestern. 92-58 the final in that one. Highest scoring team in the ACC right now is this Irish team. Kylie Watson will get an opportunity to play the last few seconds of the quarter. But a good boost for Ball State has certainly come in the form of Thelma Augustsdottir. She hails from Iceland, a beautiful country that one of her teammates got to visit. We'll show you that when we come back with 3 triples for Augustsdottir in quarter number 3. Quarter 4 coming your way from Notre Dame, but in that third quarter, Thelma Augustsdottir really having her way, hitting 3 triples. We mentioned she's from, I hope I say this right, Keflavik, Iceland, and her roommate, Anna Clefane, actually went over to Iceland, paid her a visit, and why not, Kelly? Check it out. What a gorgeous country Iceland is.
Jen, that looks beautiful. I think you and I need to go on a research trip. I think, we probably should be sent over there just to check it out and make sure it is as pretty as it is in those pictures. But that's cool, Jen, and that's the relationships you get to build with your teammates. I'm sure that Anna Clefane never really thought about going to Iceland before that, but because of her teammate and her roommate, she got to go visit and see a different part of the world, which is really exciting.
Here comes Olivia Miles. Kicks it out to Citron. She goes down. There is a foul called, though. Miles says, I'd actually rather have the assist. Thank you.
Especially since we're on triple-double watch. And that's a good call there. She moved up to draw that charge, moved up into Miles. I think that's a good call by the official.
It was on Sydney Bolden, her 4th personal. She's been one of the better players offensively, Bolden, when she's been in the game for Ball State, really attacking the basket. As the Irish add on a couple more. First points of the game for Kylie Watson that last time down the floor.
And that was Olivia Miles' 9th assist inside to Watson. I wonder, Jen, if anyone says anything to Miles, if she's aware that she's closing in on a triple-double. I just wonder how they handle that. It's probably so often throughout the year that she's at least close that they might not say anything, but I don't know. Does she know she needs 4 rebounds and 1 assist? I'm not sure.
It's a great question, and some players probably want to know, some maybe don't. Offensive foul there called on Citron. Citron having such a big game, 24 points in that win at Northwestern. Is there a player, Kelly, that you look at as that X-factor type player on this Notre Dame team this year?
Well, outside of Olivia Miles, who we know is, as I've said before, the head of the snake for them, I really think Westbeld is super important to what they do. Before Olivia Miles got there, Westbeld was a big part of their offense and their defense. So I think Westbeld is someone that can be that X factor for Notre Dame as the Irish lead big in this one.
Special moment on the court before this game today. Katrina Gaither coming back to South Bend. The All-American for the Irish, having her jersey hung, is now a member of the Ring of Honor. A very special occasion. She was very emotional before the game and still getting a chance to sit courtside and take this one in. But, one of the first ever All-Americans, Kelly, for this Notre Dame program.
And helped lead them to their first Final Four in 1997. Was a heck of a player. It's got to be such a cool feeling to see your jersey hanging in the rafters of a place where you've put so much hard work in. And we got to see her speech before the game. I thought it was just so well done. And she shouted out Coach Ivey, who was her teammate. Coach Ivey was a freshman and tore her ACL when Gaither was a senior, but they developed that bond, and she just said she's so proud of Coach Ivey and hopes that she will continue to lead this program to where they've already been and maybe even further. So I just thought that was cool to see those two former teammates and the bond that they still have.
Yeah, no doubt. And Niele Ivey not exactly stepping into easy shoes to fill, following the Hall of Famer Muffet McGraw. It's a tough drive there and contact, sending Bolden to the floor. But she certainly has this team in the conversation again as one at least to be reckoned with, at the very least, in the ACC. And can they go further? I think they certainly believe so. The success they had last year, getting back to the Sweet 16 as a 5 seed, wound up losing by 3 to NC State.
The ACC is so loaded this year, Jen. They had 5 teams in the AP top 15 of the preseason poll, and it was very difficult to rank them when I voted for the predicted order of finish. I voted Notre Dame 3rd. I had them behind Louisville at 1 and Virginia Tech at 2. I had North Carolina 4 and NC State 5. My biggest question mark with Notre Dame was replacing Maya Dotson, because I thought at times last year she was low-key their MVP, was what she did defensively and rebounding the ball. What a pass by Olivia Miles, and she's jumping up and down. That's her 11th assist, throwing an alley-oop. But Jen, you know what? You don't really have to have questions when a team has Olivia Miles. As we've said throughout this game, I think the post questions have been answered so far. We'll see when they play a little better competition, but the post play has been very good for Notre Dame, and that was my main question.
It's hard to get a point out without Miles interrupting.
Really,
you with either an assist or a bucket.
She's 3 rebounds away now. She's got 13 points, 11 assists, 7 boards. That was a great job by Citron, by the way, to catch it in the air and just alley-oop it like it's no big deal.
5 on the shot clock. Becky pulls it back. Miles looking up the floor. It's Westbeld this time. She's blocked.
There have been great players in the sport of women's basketball, Jen, and I haven't seen all of it, okay? I've really just come into the last 20 years of watching. But I don't feel like I've seen a better passer than Olivia Miles. Her vision, her creativity with it, and her confidence in these passes. She has great strength as well. I mean, she passed that from half court and put it perfectly where Citron could catch it and alley-oop it. Her ability to pass with both hands, left and right. She can throw a one-handed left-hand pass as well as she can throw a right-handed pass with one hand. I hate to just put something out there because I know the sport's been going on for a long time, but it's hard for me to think of a better passer that we have seen than Olivia Miles.
I think you can just go ahead and start the argument. If there is someone out there, let's hear it. Let's hear the contenders, because yeah, right now.
Yeah, give me some contenders here.
She's taking the cake.
Especially in the open floor. In the open floor, in transition, I have not seen anyone pass the ball like her in the women's game.
And that was Bolden's 5th foul, so she comes off the floor. 8 points on the day for Sydney Bolden, freshman out of Loganville, Georgia. And now that is duly noted, substitution made, we're ready to go. Mabry crosses over, dishes off, but a walk. Ball State getting down the floor quickly. Kiefer pulls up for 2.
That's a tough shot from Kiefer to make that over the outstretched arms of 6'4" Lauren Ebo. That was impressive.
And Ebo has been playing with, she's got 3 fouls, still been able to remain on the floor, get some good minutes for the Irish, has a career high 8 boards, as Miles probably could have taken that one herself, still looked to dish off at the last second to Bransford.
There aren't many players in the game that would even try that pass. And she's made quite a few of those one-handed passes today that have been very effective. Last year, I think at times the play where she had the most turnovers was the one-handed pass. She's been able to perfect it a little more. Her one-handed passes aren't as risky as they were last year.
Irish do have 21 turnovers in the game. That is not a number that's going to make Niele Ivey and her staff very happy after this one.
Notre Dame, generally they can be a high turnover team, and some of that is how they play, the pace they play, the amount of possessions they have, and the risks they take when in transition. So I'm not as mad about it, I think, if you're Notre Dame, just because of how they play and how fast they're playing. But yes, they could clean it up a little bit. I'm with you on that, Jen. I think about 15 turnovers per game is about where you want to be if you're Notre Dame.
And that's 23 now if you're keeping track. So the number continuing to climb with turnover on each of the last 2 possessions. But Notre Dame with a sizable lead, just over 5 to go in this one. The Irish in a scoring drought over the last couple of minutes. Fairly low scoring fourth quarter after what has been a pretty high scoring game for the Irish so far. And Olivia Miles closing in potentially, needs 3 rebounds to get herself a triple-double. Already has 13 points, 11 assists in the game, her 3rd double-double in 4 games this year for the Irish. But who's counting double-doubles? Sorry, Olivia. The triple for us when it comes to you. Offensive board, unable to be put back. Alex Richard working the glass for Ball State.
You're right, Jen, though. She's at the point where if she gets a double-double, does it even go in the press release, you know? Is it even a headline? It probably should. But you're looking for those triple-doubles. And she just went to the bench. I wonder if her day might be done, Olivia Miles. She has definitely earned a little rest, but we'll keep an eye on that.
So the pink shoe combo is out there now of Jenna Brown, KK Bransford. Nat Marshall and Ebo and Mabry rounding out the 5 on the floor for the Irish. Marshall is blocked. Kiefer, tell you what, Kiefer's had a good game. It's not going to show up offensively necessarily. 6 points in the game for Ball State, but she's been a defensive presence. She's worked the glass.
I love how tough she's been inside. She has not shown any fear against these Notre Dame posts. That was great defense on Marshall.
Still plenty of intensity left in the game. Marshall was involved in that an odd situation really with Northwestern where double technicals were issued. And then in that game also Olivia Miles wound up picking 2 technical fouls up and was ejected. But that's a little bit of that edge, that fire. Not that you ever want your players, of course, getting involved in situations where you'd see technical fouls issued, but that edge is not something that Niele Ivey wants to take away. She wants it kept in check, but it's a part of who this team is, I think.
I agree, and you want to see Olivia Miles continue to grow. She's obviously already an incredible player, but I think so far, from last year to this year, you've seen her take a little bit better care of the ball, and that's what you want. You don't want to take away her creativity, but you do want a little better care of the basketball. And then that passion and that fire, you want that too, but you don't want her to ever be ejected, to your point, Jen. So that's just part of the maturing process. I think we forget that Olivia Miles is just a sophomore. They've got this whole season plus 2 more years of Olivia Miles, depending on her birthday and if she decides to go pro and all that. But it seems like she's quite happy at Notre Dame. I think we'll probably see 4 years of her, which is just an incredible treat. And Jen, as you know, that is one of the things I love about the women's game, where you're going to see a player like Olivia Miles for 4 seasons at Notre Dame. If she was in the men's game, you probably wouldn't see her for that long. And that's one of the things that I think is so great about this game and why it's growing.
No doubt. Mabry calling for someone to come pick the ball up and inbound it for the Irish. After Richard has her first field goal of the game for Ball State. Bransford, by the way, with those last couple of free throws, having a season high in points. She's got 16, 8 of 8 from the line. And a couple more go down as it's Brown this time going to the basket. Wide open look. That's not how the defense is drawn up, and you can see there's a little bit of disarray on the floor with the group that's out there right now for Notre Dame.
This group hasn't played as much together, and so they're learning how to do that. You've got Brown at point guard. She's Olivia Miles' backup, but you want to get her some minutes. You want to get her some reps because you're inevitably going to have those games where someone gets in foul trouble and you need these players to perform.
Well, Lauren Ebo had 1 point at halftime. She has since turned it on. 12 in the second half. Brown working her way to the basket. Yep, she'll have a couple more.
It has been so interesting to see some of these players come to Notre Dame and get a fresh start on their careers. Brown is one of those players from Stanford who did not play the last 2 seasons at Stanford due to injuries. She's here and playing well for Notre Dame. Kylie Watson was at Oregon, really didn't play much at Oregon, and is a former McDonald's All-American. Neil Ivey recruited her out of high school. She comes in and she's played really well for Notre Dame so far this season. Didn't score as much today, but had 15 and 7 in the Cal game. So it's been fascinating to see Notre Dame go pick up some of these former highly rated recruits. Specifically, they've seemed to be picking them up out west, bringing them to Notre Dame, and they've been able to flourish.
It's a new part of the game, isn't it? With the transfer portal being what it is, and that being a pretty fertile recruiting ground now for programs to look into.
I think they saw last year, Jen. Yeah, they saw last year with Dodson. I mean, they hit the lottery with Dodson in the portal. So that worked so well, it's going to make you want to go do it again. They also went and got Ebo from the portal as well from Texas.
6 on the shot clock as Bransford drives. And then there's a foul after the play against the Irish. Well, not the way the Ball State wanted this one to go, Kelly, but what do the Cardinals take out of this game?
Well, I thought they shot the ball a little better from 3. They're going to need that. I think you can learn from this film when you go back and watch it. And perhaps there's some things that Ball State wants to take from how Notre Dame plays, because they do play in a similar fashion. The rebounding numbers are what concerns me for Ball State. They're not going to play a team like Notre Dame in the MAC. Of course not. But the rebounding, I think, is something they are going to have to shore up a bit if they want to go win the MAC. Their system is so unique, and they have to rebound in a different way because they don't have as much size inside, and it's a little different offensive rebounding when you're playing a 5-out. So that's one thing I think Ball State needs to shore up if they want to go out there and reach the NCAA tournament.
That's the goal. Ball State as a program has been there once. It was 2009, a very memorable trip when the Cardinals upset Tennessee in the first round. The Lady Vols are the 2-time defending champs that year in 2009. Final minute on the clock from Purcell Pavilion. And overall, I think you'd have to say, Kelly, job well done for Notre Dame today?
I would say so, Jen. This has been an impressive showing from Notre Dame. I think Olivia Miles was spectacular, as we thought. Dara Mabry was great. You have 5 players in double figures. It seems that's been the goal for Notre Dame in these games, get 5 players in double figures. Most of the time, if you do that, you're going to win the basketball game, and that should be something they can do in most games. You're going to see 5 players get in double figures, and they have a lot of different options to do that.
Jenna Brown tacking on Some points from the free throw line, 2 of them there. She's got 6 in the quarter. Ball fake and the drive. Ball State and Richard not quite ready to go home yet. The Irish, remember, going to get ready to get a little tropical trip out to the Bahamas for their next couple of games, but then vacation over, Kelly, because they come home. They've got Maryland to start off December as part of the ACC Big Ten Challenge, and then the Women's Jimmy V Classic. They take on UConn. That is quite the back-to-back to start December for the Irish. Are they ready? We shall see.
Mark your calendar for that game. We've got AZ Fudd versus Olivia Miles. That is a matchup you want to watch. 2 of the most spectacular lead guards in the country. And then these young post players, this group of transfer posts, they'll really be tested against UConn's bigs inside. So I can't wait for that game.
Yeah, UConn looking good earlier today. Really handling NC State, 91-69 the final in that game. So the Fighting Irish put up more than 50 points in the first half. And they're 5 away from 100, but a win by 35 will certainly do for Niele Ivey and company as the Irish move on to 4-0 to start the season.
Jen, this team can flat out score. If you like offense, which who doesn't? If you say you don't, you're lying. You need to watch this team play basketball. They have so many weapons. They're led by Olivia Miles. She's just electric in the open floor. I love their style. I love their pace. Notre Dame continues their hot start in this season.